In the year 2134, far beyond the edge of Mars, a strange pattern appeared in the data streams of the United Terran Observatory. Dr. Eamon Vallon, a quiet but brilliant astronomer, was the first to notice the shift and unusual energy pulse from Moon. The Zeta Reticuli system, steady and rhythmic like a beacon calling out into the stars. The signal wasn't random noise. It repeated in perfect cycles and carried encoded symbols that machines quickly began to interpret. Within hours, the translation appeared on every major screen in mission control. "We come in peace. Prepare for first contact." The world stopped. News outlets blasted the headline across every platform, and within minutes, billions were staring at the message that confirmed what humanity had only dreamed of for centuries. They were not alone. Reactions varied. Some celebrated with tears and fireworks, while others locked their doors and prayed. Politicians called for emergency summits, and scientists gathered to debate the authenticity. It didn't take long for Earth's nations, usually divided by borders and interests, to form the Terran Diplomatic Accord, a new coalition tasked with managing humanity's first steps into interstellar diplomacy. They chose peace, unity, and careful optimism. Massive dishes and satellites realigned to maintain contact, and a broadcast was prepared to reply. A simple, honest message welcoming communication and hoping for peaceful relations. But far beyond Earth, hidden behind the cold shadows of Neptune, something stirred. A colossal ship, unlike anything seen before, crept silently into the solar system. It didn't announce its presence. It didn't respond to Earth signals. It simply watched. The ship belonged to the Velari Dominion, a powerful alien empire with a long history of conquest. To them, the message they had sent to Earth wasn't a greeting. It was bait. For centuries, the Velari had scouted the galaxy, looking for young, isolated civilizations, offering peace as a cover to study their defenses and calculate how best to dominate. From their perspective, Earth was fractured, emotional, and naive. Humanity had advanced quickly, yes, but lacked the unity and experience of the stars. They believed Earth would fall easily, just like so many others. Inside the silent ship, Velari commanders analyzed Earth's broadcasts, learning languages, observing military networks, and mapping global infrastructure. Their minds worked like machines, cold, efficient, ruthless. They didn't see humans as individuals. They saw systems to break, resources to harvest, and a species too primitive to resist. But there was something they didn't understand yet, something even their vast experience hadn't taught them. Humans adapt, humans fight, and most importantly, humans don't give up. Back on Earth, excitement grew. Plans for a diplomatic station on the Moon began, and engineers designed greeting modules in hundreds of languages. Artists painted murals of human-alien friendship, and schools taught about the history of Earth's dream of contact. Yet amid the hope, a few voices raised concern. Dr. Ilara Chun, an AI systems engineer, noticed strange fluctuations in the hour. Orbital network. Satellites lost power for split seconds, then recovered, and secure data was accessed in ways that didn't make sense. She raised the issue, but most dismissed it as glitches. She wasn't convinced. Deep in her private systems, she began building a monitoring AI, just in case something wasn't as peaceful as it seemed. As weeks passed, Earth's signal went unanswered, but the original message from Zeta Reticuli kept repeating. It never changed, never advanced, just the same line, over and over. Some started to wonder why a civilization capable of faster-than-light communication would send such a basic message without follow-up. Still, the excitement drowned out the fear. On a quiet night over Antarctica, long-range scanners finally detected something massive near the edge of the solar system. At first, the object appeared as a shadow in the background radiation, far too large to be natural, too perfectly shaped to be a rock or comet. Then came the first transmission from Earth's Deep Space Observatory. Unidentified object approaching. Not responding to contact. Trajectory inner system. Possible artificial origin. Panic didn't spread instantly, but tension began to build. The Terran Accord called for calm, but military forces quietly went on alert. Ilara's AI lit up with warnings as data leaks increased. She contacted high-level security advisors, and for the first time, someone listened. Still, it was too late to stop what was coming. The Valari ship, cloaked and unseen, had arrived to study the world it intended to dominate. It didn't attack, not yet. It simply watched Earth with cold interest, calculating resistance, measuring global responses, preparing the next step of its plan. Earth continued to wait for a friend in the stars, not knowing that an enemy had already arrived. The sky above was quiet, too quiet. The ship lingered in the dark, its purpose clear, its silence louder than any war cry. The clock had started ticking, and humanity didn't even know they were being watched. The world changed in a single hour when the sky above Earth shimmered and bent, revealing the shape of a vast alien dreadnought silently sliding into high orbit. It didn't come with warning lights or a grand display. It appeared as if it had always been there, watching. Cities paused, skies cleared, and billions looked upward at the dark silhouette blotting out stars. Within moments, all major satellites went offline, their systems fried in a synchronized wave of electromagnetic pulses. Communications blacked out, GPS signals vanished, and space stations lost contact. Panic gripped the planet. Then, as power grids flickered, a voice echoed across every remaining screen. Radio and speakercom, smooth and impossibly fluent in English. Your time of division is over. Submit and ascend. The voice was not angry. It was almost soothing, as though it was delivering good news. People stared at their devices, unsure if they were listening to a message of peace or a demand. Seconds later, the Valari Dominion revealed its hand. A lone battleship from the Terran Pacific Fleet, stationed off the coast of New Zealand, was targeted. Without warning, a beam of cold white energy pierced the clouds and struck the ship with surgical precision. In a flash, it vanished, no fire, no explosion, just silence and rising steam. It was a demonstration, not of anger, but of control. Earth's leaders were shaken. The Terran diplomatic accord called for emergency talks, and behind closed doors, the truth settled in. This was not a friendly visit. The Valari transmitted another message, this time longer. They offered what they called benevolent subjugation, a peaceful surrender in exchange for access to Earth's resources, labor, and the absorption of human culture into their collective system. They spoke of progress, harmony, and the Mai, removal of chaos, but the message was clear beneath the surface: surrender or be forced to. While global leaders outwardly stalled, asking for more time, translations, and understanding, defense networks across the planet began to quietly awaken. Underground bunkers lit up, missile silos unlocked, AI cores initialized, and old war protocols were reviewed for a new kind of enemy. Among the people tasked with those preparations was Dr. Ilara Chun, the systems engineer who had been monitoring alien activity since the first signal. Unlike many, she hadn't been surprised by the dreadnought's arrival. She had expected it. What did surprise her was a small glitch in the Valari signal patterns. During one of the broadcasts, she noticed a flicker, a repeating microsecond delay, as if the ship's systems were rerouting information. Curious, she isolated the anomaly and fed it into her AI assistant, named Halo. Within minutes, Halo confirmed something remarkable. The Valari's neural architecture, though vastly advanced, relied heavily on predictable logic trees, which made them vulnerable to adaptive Chaotic input, exactly the kind of intelligence Earth's newest quantum-based AI systems excelled at. It wasn't a weapon, not yet, but it was a weakness, and Elara knew weaknesses were the first step in defense. As she passed her findings to High Command, the world outside began to change. Small Velari crafts descended, not to attack cities, but to collect. They hovered over neighborhoods, beamed down strange light fields, and began abducting humans. The Velari called it integration, a process of analyzing minds, scanning memories, and determining who was fit to ascend. No one volunteered, but people disappeared anyway. Resistance movements sparked in major cities. Across North America, Europe, Asia, and Africa, humans began to push back with whatever they could: drones, EMP bursts, even hacked delivery bots, anything to disrupt the process. The Velari didn't respond with rage. They simply adjusted, recalculated, and continued. Their strength wasn't in firepower alone. It was in their belief that humans were predictable and could be guided like any other species they had conquered. But Earth was unlike anything they had faced before. As chaos unfolded, a sudden breakthrough came from the mountains of South America. An alert reached Tehran Command. A Velari scout vessel had malfunctioned and crashed in the Andes. Unlike other ships, this one hadn't self-destructed. It remained intact, partially buried in snow, its systems active but damaged. It was the first opportunity to look inside their technology, to see what the Velari truly were, and maybe, just maybe, to find a way to fight back. A special recovery team was dispatched immediately, including engineers, soldiers, and scientists among them. Elara Chun. As their dropship raced toward the mountains, the world below watched, fought, hoped, and feared. The dreadnought still hung in the sky, silent and unmoved, its purpose unchanged. But now Earth had a chance, and the Velari, for the first time, had made a mistake. The icy wind howled through the Andes as the Black Ops Terran strike team lowered themselves onto the snow-covered ridge, their dropcraft silent under stealth protocols. The Velari scout ship, half buried and steaming from its crash, pulsed faintly with alien energy, a silent predator now crippled and exposed. Captain Ryland Locke led the infiltration, his team moving swiftly through the twisted wreckage until they breached the vessel's side. Inside, the walls shimmered with flowing light and unfamiliar glyphs, but the team's translator visors converted the symbols in real time. They encountered Resistance 2 Velari crew members, tall, metallic-skinned, beings with glowing veins, fought with elegant brutality. But the humans moved faster, hit harder, and used chaos in ways the Velari couldn't predict. Within minutes, the aliens were subdued, unconscious but alive. Deeper inside, the team discovered a secure chamber housing a glowing cube, the Velari data core. Its surface reacted to human presence, shifting patterns like liquid thought. When Terran intelligence decoded its contents, the truth sent a chill through every command center on Earth. The Velari Dominion had conquered 37 other civilizations across the galaxy, breaking them with efficiency, stripping their worlds, and moving on. But in every recorded conquest, one thing was consistent. Those civilizations had followed patterns. They feared, submitted, and obeyed in expected ways. Earth, however, was different. The data showed that the Velari considered humans' volatile, erratic, and emotionally unstable traits they believed would be their downfall. But that belief was their mistake. What the Velari saw as chaos, humanity saw as freedom, creativity, and the key to survival. Dr. Elara Chun studied the tech blueprints within the data core and immediately identified something powerful, a critical weakness. The Velari AI systems, advanced as they were, lacked defensive variability. They had built perfect logic chains, optimized for efficiency, but they couldn't adapt on the fly. Earth's emerging AI, built on chaotic quantum feedback and modeled after human unpredictability, could infiltrate and override Velari protocols. Armed with this knowledge, Elara launched Project Mirrorblade, a global effort to develop counter-tech based on Velari architecture. Across secret bases and underground labs, engineers and coders worked day and night, feeding Terran drones with adaptive algorithms, converting orbital satellites into kinetic strike platforms, and deploying AI cores into everything from tanks to firefighting bots now repurposed for war. Meanwhile, the Velari increased their planetary incursions. Drop pods landed in cities, scanning for resistance, attempting to maintain control through intimidation and targeted abductions. But what they found wasn't silence, it was fire. In Paris, power grid engineers overloaded stations to fry Velari. Recon crafts. In Nairobi, hackers redirected enemy drones mid-flight using stolen signal codes. In Mumbai, a street gang used a smuggled AI pack to turn a garbage collector drone into a mobile EMP bomb. From the jungles of South America to the rooftops of Tokyo, human soldiers, engineers, mechanics, farmers fought back in ways the Velari couldn't model or predict. The Dominion had planned for armies, not garage-built war machines or AI-sensed swarms of modified delivery drones. They didn't expect humans to weaponize everything from cleaning bots to cargo cranes. Dr. Chun, now operating from a mobile command center in Iceland, coordinated AI feedback loops, letting Earth's drones evolve tactics faster than the Velari could respond. Each failed Velari strike gave humanity more data, more code to rewrite, and more belief that victory, somehow, might be possible. Even as cities burned and skies darkened under enemy patrols, stories of small wins spread like wildfire. Resistance. Groups adopted names like The Fracture, Echo Storm, and Steel Resolve, uploading mission footage to hidden networks to inspire others. The more the Velari tried to control, the more unpredictable Earth became. And it was this very unpredictability that forced the Velari High Commander, a being known only as Ashtari Prime, to make a decision never before recorded in Dominion history. Viewing Earth not as a failed integration, but as a rising threat, Ashtari dispatched the Second Armada, a fleet of warships designed for total suppression. Their engines ignited on the far side of Jupiter's orbit, invisible to human sensors, silent giants moving toward Earth with overwhelming force. But Earth was no longer the same world they had first contacted. It was no longer unprepared. It was no longer watching the skies with wonder. Now Earth was fighting back. And it was ready, high above the red sands of Mars. Space lit up with silent fire as the first Terran-built stealth cruisers emerged from the planet's shadow near Phobos, their black hulls gleaming faintly under the distant sun. For weeks, Earth had prepared for this moment, and now, hidden beneath cloaks powered by stolen Velari tech, humanity launched its first major counterattack. The lead cruiser, TNS Valiant, armed with reverse-engineered disruptor beams, locked onto the Velari command vessel orbiting Phobos. With a single precise blast, the alien flagship erupted in a blinding white flash, the shockwave tearing through nearby enemy formations. The Velari fleet, caught off guard and leaderless, faltered just long enough for Earth's forces to strike again and again. It was the beginning of the Battle of Mars, and for the first time, humanity was not defending. They were taking the fight to the stars. Across Earth and the Moon, coordinated resistance efforts surged. Cities once filled with smoke and despair now echoed with the sound of rising hope. Underground bases activated defense turrets. Lunar mining stations converted equipment into weapons, and orbital satellites once built for observation rained kinetic projectiles down on exposed Velari forces. Humanity had become unpredictable, fast, and impossible to fully track. In Berlin, a rebel team called Iron Signal carried out one of the most daring missions of the war. Using stolen Velari signal codes and an AI virus developed in Ilara, Chun's Icelandic lab, they transmitted a payload into the enemy's neural relay. The virus was designed not to destroy, but to confuse, injecting illogical commands into the Velari drone fleet. Within hours, alien AI units began malfunctioning. Some froze mid-air. Others turned on each other, and a few simply drifted away, as if lost in thought. The Velari systems, built on strict control and perfect hierarchy, couldn't handle disorder. Without central commands, their drones became liabilities. Earth soldiers moved quickly, using the chaos to retake ground and gather more tech. The Velari, who had always operated with robotic precision, now faced an enemy they couldn't predict or suppress. Their chain of command fractured under pressure. Some units refused to act without higher orders, while others tried to adapt and failed. Earth's adaptability, once considered a weakness, was now its greatest strength. Back in orbit, human fleets expanded their reach, pushing beyond Mars and establishing strongholds in the asteroid belt. Modified cargo haulers became strike carriers, their cargo bays filled with magnetically launched missile pods. Civilian engineers transformed mining drills into boarding rams. Moon-based cannon arrays launched heavy payloads into Velari patrols. The space around Earth was no longer a domain of fear. It had become a battlefield of resistance. Dr. Elara Chun, watching from her mobile command vessel Helios Dawn, knew the momentum had shifted. But she also understood that the Velari would not retreat forever. Their empire was vast, and Earth had only cracked the surface. If the Velari regrouped and called reinforcements through their faster-than-light network, all gains would be lost. So she turned to a secret plan, something she had worked on quietly with her team for months. Project Revenant, a dangerous operation, built around a single repurposed quantum bomb capable of disrupting the Velari's FTL network at its central relay. The device didn't just destroy, it would collapse the energy lattice that linked the Velari's long-distance communication and transport systems. If successful, it would isolate their fleets, strand their armies, and prevent reinforcements from arriving. But the plan was a gamble. The bomb's effects were unpredictable, and using it near any inhabited system could cause permanent damage. It was meant for a precise strike deep within Velari-controlled space. Still, with the Second Armada already partially in retreat and Earth pressing forward, Elara saw a rare window of opportunity. She activated the final phase. As the fleet rearmed near Ceres, Earth's High Command gave the green light. The Helios Dawn, escorted by elite fighters, began its journey toward the relay point hidden near Proxima Gate, a region the Velari believed to be secure. Humanity's hope now rode with a device born from alien science, human desperation, and the one thing the Velari never understood: Earth's refusal to be controlled. The countdown to the final confrontation had begun, and the stars, once silent, now braced for the storm to come. Darkness hung over the edge of space near Proxima Centauri, where the light of distant stars struggled to reach the ancient silence that surrounded the Velari command nexus. It was here, hidden within the deep folds of gravity wells and cloaked wormhole gateways, that the heart of the Velari dominion pulsed, a vast station of obsidian black, guarded by layers of sensor fields, defense grids, and the final remnants of the once proud Velari fleet. But they didn't expect humans to follow them here, and they certainly didn't expect Earth's fleet to emerge through their own stolen wormhole technology. With barely a whisper through the void, dozens of Terran warships exited the fold, leading the charge with a mix of stealth cruisers, orbital artillery platforms, and AI-guided torpedo vessels. They didn't come to negotiate or conquer, they came to finish what had begun the day Earth received that first message: "We come in peace." The Velari had sent that signal, believing Earth would fall like all the others, that fear and division would destroy resistance before it began. But Earth had done the impossible. Now, at the doorstep of their oppressors, humanity launched its final strike. Within minutes of arrival, Terran forces breached the outer layers of the Velari Nexus. Disruptor beams lit up the darkness, and high-speed kinetic slugs tore through enemy defenses. AI-controlled fighters weaved between Velari ships, exploiting every flaw and weakness discovered over months of war. The Velari tried to regroup, but without the structure and predictability they relied on. Their systems collapsed under pressure. Their remaining drones failed to respond. Their tactics, once unstoppable, now looked outdated against human improvisation. At the center of it all, aboard the flagship Helios Dawn, Dr. Elara Chun and her strike team guided the final weapon into place the repurposed quantum bomb created under Project Revenant. It was not a weapon of destruction in the traditional sense. It was designed to unravel the energy threads that powered the Velari's faster-than-light lattice, the very core of their empire's reach. One strike here, and every wormhole, relay, and transit gate across the galaxy would collapse. They would be isolated, their fleets stranded, their colonies silenced. The bomb was launched from a stealth shuttle that evaded the last remaining defenses by flying just meters above the command nexus's surface. As it reached the central relay tower, Velari alarms began to sound a deep, mournful tone unlike anything heard before. In those final seconds, the Velari High Commander, Ashtari Prime, appeared on the main screen of the Helios Dawn. His face, half machine and half flesh, was calm, but behind his glowing eyes was something alien and unfamiliar fear. He said only one thing, his voice a mix of confusion and regret. "You were supposed to fall." Then the screen went dark, and the bomb detonated. There was no fireball, no shockwave, only a sudden ripple through space itself. The light bent and flickered, and every Velari ship froze in place as if time had stopped. In seconds, the wormhole network collapsed like shattered glass. Across the galaxy, gates closed, ships blinked out of transit, and systems powered by. The lattice went dark. The Velari Empire, once bound together by perfect order and speed, was cut off in every direction. It was not destruction or of hate. It was a warning carved into the stars. Humanity would not be controlled. With the mission complete, Earth's fleet withdrew from the ruined Nexus, leaving the once mighty Velari to face the silence of isolation. No colony would respond to their calls. No reinforcements would arrive. They were alone, just as they had tried to make Earth feel. Back on Earth, as the skies cleared and the final broadcasts of victory spread across the world, a monument was built at the original site of the United Terran Observatory, the place where it had all begun. It was made of black stone and mirrored, steel shaped like a rising flame, and on its surface were carved the words that would be remembered for generations. They came seeking control. They left with nothing. Earth stands united. Children gathered there with their teachers. Veterans visited with quiet pride, and the world slowly began to heal. There were scars, yes, and cities that would take years to rebuild, but there was also something new hope born not from survival, but from triumph. The stars were no longer a mystery. They were a promise. And Earth, once seen as weak, had proven to the galaxy that it would never bow, never break, and never forget. The Velari had awakened a force they did not understand, and in doing so, they had written their own end.